Comic Book Man highlights the week of March 3rd, 2011. Enjoy.
Hey folks, Comic Book Man here. Welcome once again to my video outhouse. It's time for Week in Review! And this is the Week in Review for March the 3rd, 2011. This is where we look back at all the shipping for this week. This is the ship-shape version of Week in Review. Coming up next is going to be the Shop Talk version. But first, I'm going to cover all the stuff of note that shipped this week. We had well over 100 books that came out in the week of March the 3rd. I'm going to hit some of the highlights, and you should probably check these out either here at Alternate Reality or at your local comic book shop to see whether or not these are worth your looking at for the Week in Review, because they're worth mine. This week, starting off as always, we do with the biggest shipper, and the biggest shipper this week was Marvel, who shipped out 5 Ronin #1. Now, this is a 5-week-long, 5-issue miniseries, and basically, if you read Marvel Noir, any of the Marvel Noir books, this is essentially the same thing, except it doesn't take place in the 1930s. This takes place in feudal Japan, the whole storyline. And this first issue spotlights Wolverine, as he would have been if he lived in feudal Japan. And future issues over the next 4 weeks will also have in them, I believe, the Hulk, or their version of the Hulk. And I think that they'll also have in there, they're crossing over in other Marvel characters. I'm not sure if their version of Matt Murdock is going to be showing up or not. But basically street-level characters, if they lived in feudal Japan, are going to be showing up in this book. This issue, this doesn't do a lot for me, this type of storytelling. I've never been big on feudal Japan or Wolverine, but I will say that the images in here by, who's the artist? Coker, C-O-K-E-R. Mr. Coker are very pretty. He does some very nice, pretty drawings of feudal Japan. And so if you have any interest in that at all, you might want to pick this up, because the art is actually very nice in the book. The story doesn't do much for me.
What century does it take place in?
Feudal Japan, 17th century, I believe, 1600s.
How do they explain his modern claws?
Didn't get that far because, like I said, the story didn't do much for me. But he does have claws. He does have claws in the thing.
I gotten there just as far as figure that out.
Also this week, staying with Wolverine, who, as I mentioned, I'm not crazy about, but I read this, and this is very good. This is very good. Now, Hercules is what saves it for me. This is Wolverine and Hercules. Supposedly is the two of them meeting up in a bar, talking about the good old days. They talk in this thing about the first time they met, which was in Paris during World War II. Baron Strucker, he's got this huge robot. He's going through Paris. He's knocking over buildings. He's killing people. Hercules shows up in order to stop him, because Hercules is still looking out for mankind. But Zeus tells him not to. You know, don't involved in World War II. This is something humans have to sort out. And he says, okay, Dad, I won't. And he shows up in green underwear, and he calls himself the Submariner, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. There's a great shot in here of Hercules in his green underwear picking up a tank like Superman.
You get like butt crack?
No, not butt. You don't see that. You don't see that. You don't see that. Then it cuts to the two of them, present day, Wolverine and Hercules in a bar, talking over all the times they've met over the years, and some of the adventures they've already shared together, which nobody knew about up until now. And it wraps up with the storyline moving forward with Wolverine's side of things. Mariko, the girl that he almost married, his bride, who got killed. It's a revenge story about the guy that killed her. And the Minotaur from Hercules is involved in this as well, so that brings you Hercules. So I like this for the Hercules stuff in it, not so much for the Wolverine stuff, but altogether it was a pretty interesting package. Written by Mr. Terry, who has worked on this stuff before. Annihilators! Annihilators is a 4-issue miniseries, which is $4.99. It's got kind of a stiff cover price. $4.99 cover price, and it's out this week. It's a continuation of the Annihilation storyline. I forgot. Started way, way, way back when. Since then, we've gone through War of the Gods. I forget what it was. The cosmic thing, Reign of the Kings, War of the Kings. I'm sorry, Reign of the Kings, War of the Kings. Some Inhuman stuff. It's crossed over in just about every cosmic book that Marvel has. Thanos was the very last thing that this touched on. Now this 4-issue miniseries is essentially 2 books. This Rocket Raccoon book, and this, which features Starbrand and Beta Ray Bill and a bunch of other cosmic characters that haven't been featured all that much up until now. They take center stage in the ongoing saga of the Annihilation section of the Cosmic Marvel Universe. This actually, when this was originally solicited, the Rocket Raccoon story was its own separate miniseries, and Marvel, for some reason, I assume sales, decided we're not going to solicit this by itself. What we're going to do is we're going to fold it into this story. We're going to double the size, double the price. And we're going to sell you 2 books in one, which is essentially what this is 2 books in one. The back story is the Rocket Raccoon story, which is totally different from the front story, which is the Starbrand story. Rocket Raccoon didn't do much for me. The art on the Annihilators one is very nice, though, and if you've been following the storyline, it's probably worth picking up just for the first story, the front story. Captain America has got a whole bunch of one-shots coming up over the course of the next month or so. And this is the first one, Captain America and the Falcon. This is one issue only. And it's primarily just a Falcon storyline. Think of this as a Falcon special. That's all this is. Upcoming ones will be Captain America and the Secret Avengers, Captain America and Crossbones, Captain America and the First 13. As of course, the movie's coming out very soon for Captain America. And Marvel needs to get as much Cap stuff out there like Thor in order to make into trade paperbacks and sell in secondary and tertiary markets. Anyway, like I said, this is all about Sam Wilson, Falcon. This also has, for me, because I grew up reading this stuff, this also has a very nice reprint backup, and I know a lot of people are going to go, oh, reprint. But it reprints a backup story, which was in this issue of Captain America way back when, which I remember reading when I was a little boy, which is written by Gary Friedrich and drawn by Gray Morrow, and heavily inked by I believe, Johnny Romita at the time. But this reprint backup, which really brought me back. I loved the story when I first saw it, and it's in here if you've never read it before. It's worth picking up. Front story's worth picking up, too. The front story's pretty good also. Also, this week from Marvel, rocketing through. Let me get my books back here. Ultimate Captain America number 3 shipped this week. This Captain America is getting deprogrammed by this Captain America, and they're trying to make him less of a jerk. This shipped out this week.
Looks like he's trying to reprogram him the hard way.
Yeah, with a fist in the face.
Yeah.
Powers number 7 shipped this week, which is the first Powers that's been out in a long time. This book is taking forever, as always, to ship out because it's at the bottom of Brian Michael Bendis' to-do pile, even though he's now got a TV series coming out with
Maybe
it.
that's what he's working on.
In this story, Powers is investigating the murder of a god. This is material that Alan Moore touched on in Top 10 a couple of years back. It's also they're going to do that storyline in here as well. 2 different storylines, obviously, but they're going to cover the same material in here. Marvel Zombies is yet chugging ahead. The Supreme Marvel Zombie Supreme. The zombie hunters are checking out essentially Project Pegasus. I'm not sure if this is Earth 616 or not, but Project Pegasus has been shut down, and it's been turned into a research lab, which is manufacturing Marvel Zombies. I read through this thing, and it's not that it's incomprehensible, but it's like you get halfway through it, and it's like, I don't care anymore. I really don't care that Hyperion is a zombie and that Power Lass or Power Woman or whatever the Wonder Woman character is a zombie, or all the rest of them are zombies. Just kill them all off and get it over with. But anyway, this is a new miniseries that's coming out, and it's 4 issues.
You can't kill him, comic book man.
5
Why?
issues.
You can't kill them. You know why?
They're zombies.
They're already dead.
They're already dead. Also this week in the Kids Corner, Oz Primer came out. This is essentially a spotlight for the Marvel Universe for the Oz books. I thought it was going to be a handbook. Part of it is. The back part of this is a handbook. It's a very thin handbook. You've got a picture and name and about a big block of paragraph text next to explain the characters, which I suppose is fine. The front half of it is all text stuff with the artist and the writer talking about their takes on Oz and what they're doing with the Oz books at Marvel. And finally, this week I want to wrap up with Marvel with Emma. This is an adaptation of Jane Austen's Emma, first of 5 issues. Marvel's continuing with the classic comics books. Marvel, I don't know that these don't sell real well for you at all, if even worth doing, but I would continue doing these if for no other reason than it's a classy project that you can point to at some point. These are definitely worth doing even if nobody's reading them. Collect them in trades and sell them somewhere else. DC, yes, DC ship books this week. Giant Size Atom number 1. Yes, it's a joke. Giant Size Atom number 1. This collects the backups that aren't going to run in Adventure Comics since DC trash canned all the backup features in all their books. This is where the Atom storyline finishes up. Essentially, it's just the next couple issues that they never printed, put under one cover. The Jim Gordon stuff in Detective has been pushed to the front of Detective, and that's where they're doing that stuff. Jimmy Olsen is also going to get his own special just like this. That wraps up the Jimmy Olsen stuff in the back of Action Comics. Anyway, if you've been reading the Atom backup feature, you want to pick this up because it wraps everything up.
Isn't he a character who gets all little?
Yes, he gets all tiny.
Isn't that ironic that it's a giant-sized Atom? Is that the...
You picked up on the joke. You got that. There you go.
Sure was one.
There you go. Brightest Day shipped this week. And issue 21 of 26 is out. And guess who gets killed in this one?
Is that
Come on, you can figure it out.
Is that Johnny Storm?
It's Johnny Storm. Flame on.
Die again?
Flame on. Johnny Storm dies again. He flames on. No, obviously it's Martian Manhunter. He dies at the end of this. Big surprise. They're going to kill them all off by issue 26, and they'll all be coming back again at the end of the series. We've talked in Shop Talk last week on Week in Review about the death of First Wave. This is the actual death of the First Wave miniseries. The 6-issue mini is finally over with. This is the last issue. It's shipped. You are not going to see a sequel to this miniseries, so if you've been reading it, pick it up. I'm not sure when they're going to pull the plug on the rest of the First Wave stuff. They still haven't made the announcement. The Emerald City Comic Con is this weekend. DC's probably making the announcement there, but I haven't heard yet. But this finally wrapped up for good and for all.
Is that a tear in your eye, comic book man?
And also dead this week is Batman Confidential. This is the last part of the Superpower storyline that they were doing. It also wraps up Batman Confidential. This is the last issue of the book. We mentioned before this and Gotham Central, and not Gotham Central, Streets of Gotham, and a bunch of other titles have been trash canned by DC in order to make room for Flashpoint, which is
that the human pincushion?
Human Pincushion, yes it is. Over in Image. Image released Carbon Gray #1. This book was 40% off here at the store. It came with 2 covers. It's chicks with guns, heavily peppered with Dune. And if you take a close look, especially at this girl like here, it looks an awful lot like Sarah the Thrall, who works here at the store. Little Jinx. We've talked about, and she doesn't see it, but it's there all right. Anyway, chicks with guns. I talked about this before on ShipShape. Regular ShipShape for the week, and this sold out. I got rid of all of these at the store, so there you go. Also, there you go.
Well interpreted.
It's chicks with guns. I don't know. The Intrepids started this week. This has got Carrie who's in Gone with the Wind? Male star.
Clark Gable.
Clark Gable's in this. He's the main protagonist. Guy looks an awful lot like Clark Gable. He's in this thing. He was the main protagonist in this thing, and
frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
It looks like goofy fun. I didn't read it, but I did flip through it. That's why I know Clark Gable's in it. And it looks like goofy fun. And also this week from Image, the Herculean #1 shipped. This is a Eric Larson book out of his little corner of the universe. This has got a lot of early stuff that Larson did. It's got the Herculean in it, who has shown up in Savage Dragon in the past. It's done up like their first, not their first issue project, but their lost comic stuff that they've done, the magazine size stuff, where they reprint the next issue project, where they reprint the next issue of a bunch of 40s C-level comics that never saw a next issue. It's done up in that format. The pages are all sort of yellowed and stained to make it look old.
He always draws breasts too small for me, comic book.
But if you like Eric Larson's stuff, you might want to pick this up. Obviously, it's a larger size format. Over in IDW, the last part of the Infestation storyline started this week with G.I. Joe Infestation #1, 2-issue miniseries. This will be over with by the end of March, along with all the Infestation stuff. A hunk of technology from the Infestation planet shows up in the G.I. Joe universe and begins wreaking havoc with the Joes and with Cobra. So you might want to pick that up if you've been following that. And also this week, Lock and Key shipped. This storyline is starting to hit its stride. There's major story points that happen in this issue. If you haven't been following Lock and Key, now's the time to get on board. There's a series coming from Fox based on this. This story is also starting to, like I said,
it's a finite run too, right? I mean,
move into high gear.
Well,
yeah. I'm not sure though. I mean, this is going to have yet another miniseries probably after. I don't think this is the end of Lock and Key forever. But for this series, yeah, this is kicking into high gear with issue #5. I'd pick this up if you like Lock and Key. Over in Boom, it's going to start off with the Kids Corner. Same book, 2 covers. Darkwing Duck Annual shipped this week. Oh, look at those 2 covers.
It's a Killing Joke put off, the one with the camera.
Yes, this is a parody of the Killing Joke, the Alan Moore story from the late 80s, early 90s. This came out this week. Homage. Also, we had Irredeemable #23. As with Lock and Key, this has got story elements in it that are starting to kick into high gear, and there's a creepy factor to this, which if you like mainstream superheroes like I do, Makes it a lot of fun. Anyway, you might want to pick this
Isn't
up.
that what you're going to call your biography too, Comic Book Man?
What, creepy good fun?
No, irredeemable.
Irredeemable. No, Comic Book Man is irredeemable. The book of the week here at the store. The book of the week here at the store was Wolf number 1. This is the first of the revival of the Atlas line of comics. I bought all the Atlas stuff back in the mid-'70s. Wolf is brought to the present day. Actually, he's not in this, but he will be. He's brought to the present day from his barbarian times. His world is being destroyed at the beginning of this thing, and the guy that he's fighting against winds up coming to the present and meets Lomax, who also had his own series in Police Action in the Atlas stuff. And Lomax winds up going into the past, meeting Wolf, and at the end of the storyline, the two of them together, and you just know that they're going to come to the present and fight this guy. Anyway, this ship this week was 40% off all week long, which means you only paid $1.79 here at Alternate Reality for it. Also this week, we had Axe Cop number 1. This is one of 3. This is one of 3 from Dark Horse. And the cover text reads, written by a 6-year-old and drawn by a 30-year-old, run by his 30-year-old brother. I started reading this thing. It's got a hilarious joke in the first couple of pages. It really does. It's got a great setup joke in the first couple of pages that works just fine. And then I got around to about page 8 and I stopped caring and I flipped to the end. And as I'm flipping through it, I said to myself, Christ, this is long. I don't know if this is going to be worth the trip, but I will say the first couple of pages had a great joke in it, and it's almost worth picking it up for that. Also this week, Lenore number 1, shipped from Titan. This used to be at Slave Labor. This has moved over to Titan now, and hopefully this will be coming out more often. If you're a little emo kid out there and you're looking for something to read, pick up Lenore. This has been around for a while, but emo kids have been around for a while. Previous generation of emo kids enjoyed this. You'll love this too. And wrapping it up this week, we've got Comic Book Comics. I get a lot of people in the store that say, Comic Book Man, I want to start my own comic book, but I don't know anything about copyrights or trademarks or what I'm supposed to do. Or, I've heard other people have gotten screwed who've done comics. And what about Siegel and Schuster and Steve Ditko? This is your book. In a very entertaining way, this tells you how to copyright stuff, how to trademark stuff. Yes, it also tells you about case studies in the past of people like the Siegels who've been screwed, how they got screwed. This is a book you really ought to pick up if you're interested in doing your own comic. If you're not interested in doing your own comic, you're not going to care about this. But if you have any interest at all in doing your own character, doing your own comic, keeping the rights to your stuff, this is the book you pick up. So stop by your local comic book store or here at Alternate Reality and pick it up. And that's it. I'm done. I'm finished. I'm out. Up. Before I forget, the Comic Book Man's cover of the week. I have a tie again this week. And I'm going to show them both to you. They both look a lot alike, don't they? Yeah. Brightest Day, the number 21, and this issue of Irredeemable. I like these covers primarily because they are very, very iconic in their own separate ways. Martian Manhunter here is getting killed, and you've got Plutonian here flying off into a thunderstorm.
Classic posture.
I'm a sucker for iconic comic book superhero images, and so these are my covers of the week. And that's it. We're done. We're finished. We're out of here. I'm going to go do some shop talk right now, but you can go to the store's website and check out all of our other weekend reviews and all the other stuff we do here at the Video Outhouse. So stop off at the store's website and check out all the other stuff we've done. And until then, this is Comic Book Man saying, I'm going to do shop talk.